And I know this is so odd to even say, and most people will never tell you to do this, but so you want to tap more into the divine feminine, which is beautiful, amazing, incredible energy. So you are definitely in the right place. Welcome to Manifest with Lindsay, where I talk all things manifestation, quantum leaps, quantum physics, reprogramming your subconscious mind, and of course, feminine energy. So one of the things that I recommend doing, number one, is self-care. I think we need to take care of ourselves. And I'm not talking, oh, just go to the nail salon, get a manicure, pedicure. Yes, that's nice. Getting massages, that's great. But I'm also referring to self-care internally. One of the things as women is we need to embrace our emotions. I know growing up in a home where I grew up with a mom who was very tough, okay, very hard on me, spoke to me a certain way. So I'm used to tough love, and that made me a very hard person. So I think because we have this hard shell or this hard exterior, and we're naturally in defense mode a lot of the times, unfortunately, we're taught to hide our emotions. Or how many of you have grown up, let me know in the comments, where a parent says, shut up before I give you something to cry for, right? So you learn that crying wasn't important. Suck it up, no crying, right? You learn that you should not express your emotions. You learn that it's bad to feel. Your emotions are very revealing of where you are in that moment. And sometimes you need to reflect on your emotions and hold space for yourself and take care of yourself and nurture yourself, because maybe growing up you never had someone who really nurtured you and took care of you and hugged you and told you how much they loved you all the time. Maybe you didn't grow up having that. And so that's where a lot of that inner child healing comes in. That's where a lot of that holding space for yourself and holding yourself accountable every week to just really take that time to take it all in. I actually did another video on this of how to heal at home that you can check out right here. I'll make sure I link it at the end of this video. So if you want to learn how you can heal at home and tap more into your emotions, you can actually do so right in the comfort of your own home. Number 3 is tapping into your intuition. A lot of us ignore that small voice in our head that's like, something's not right. Whenever you push away your intuition, which is a God-given gift for every woman and every person who embraces that feminine energy, we have a strong intuition. We know when something is not right or something is right. So tune into that. If something feels off about something, it might be off. If an opportunity presents itself and you're like, but I really think that I should, and forget shoulds, forget would, forget how much money is attached to it, forget what promises were attached to it. If you feel like something's off, a lot of times it is, especially when you have a very level head and you think the best of most people. If you know something feels wrong, it typically is. So learn to get in tune with your emotions. And the more you tune into your emotions, the more you can actually tune into your intuition, because a lot of times your gut is trying to tell you something, but if you ignore that, you're actually ignoring the gifts that were already placed inside of you. Another way to tap into the feminine is through nature. I look at beautiful trees, and every time I go outside, I don't care who's watching me, I always touch the trees, and I'm like, let me touch the leaves and take in all that oxygen that I'm receiving. Getting outside in nature, taking time to be outside and get grounded again. Now, if you live in an area similar to me, like in a city type of place, where you can't walk with your feet out in the grass, I highly recommend you either do that on vacation or do that in your backyard if you have a house, or if you're in a certain area that allows you to do so. Put your feet to the grass and to the ground, because there's so many benefits of that, and you'll get a lot more healing from that. Something I started doing was talking to the trees. I know that sounds funny, but I saw a girl doing it online on Instagram, and I instantly felt drawn to her, and I was like, wow, that's so cool that you speak to the trees, because everything technically has life, right? So it's not just us, everything has life in it. So the fact that everything has energy, including plants, yeah, you can talk to plants. You can name a plant that you really like outside and make sure you go talk to it and say hello. I think it's a beautiful thing to connect not just with nature, but our nature. And a huge part of that is being outdoors and being outside. I'm not saying you need to go on a hike or you got to go out where bears live. Don't put yourself in danger, but definitely make sure you get outside in nature and take some time to reflect. Another thing is creativity. A lot of people just focus on their day-to-day tasks without really tapping into their creativity. You have a gift, whether it's poetry, whether it's writing, whether it's just artwork, whether it's painting, whether it's drawing, whether it's singing or dancing. Express yourself through creativity. That is a very, very powerful way to do it. One way I do it is through songwriting. Love doing that, also through writing poetry. Also, something I love doing, of course, is going out in nature for walks too. But as I'm out in nature, sometimes if I'm by the water, I'll sit there and I'll type out a poem to myself and email it to myself and put it in a folder labeled poems. That way I could go back and read over them and reflect on what I've seen so far. I think it's really powerful to connect with yourself and with your energy. And as you're healing and as you're growing and as certain things are being revealed to you, I want you to reflect, and I know this is so odd to even say, and most people will never tell you to do this, but I want you to reflect on every person you dated, every person you encountered, every friendship that ended, and why that ended. What was the pattern in those friendships? What was the pattern of who you were attracting in those relationships? Were you attracting really good quality men who you still are like, they were a good person? Or do you feel still salty and wounded or angry? I think a lot of women, especially who are like, I want to get in a relationship, I want the perfect man, they don't look back at, here's where I went wrong. Here were some of my flaws and mistakes in that relationship and things I don't want to carry into my next one. Or here's the type of person I attracted and I really didn't enjoy that personally. And I think I drew that person because of why. The more you get to the root behind a lot of your past or previous relationships, whether those were friendships or, romantic partners that you had in your past, think of every single ex. Were they good people? Did you really like those people or did you not? And if so, was it the same person with a different name, and why were they drawn to you? So check yourself and look at, why did I end up in some of these scenarios or situations? Same thing with work. Look back at your corporate experiences. Was every single job situation the same? And if you ended up always the person who picked up the slack, always did the work, always stayed late, always woke up early, was always a people pleaser, let go of that, release that. Because when you're a people pleaser, you actually allow space for someone to come in and manipulate you. And next thing you know, you're like, oh my goodness, how did this person just gaslight me? How did I end up in this relationship where I was so unhappy and unfulfilled? And yet I just kept trying to give the person whatever they wanted. And that person was able to take advantage of me. Look at all of your previous patterns, because like I always say, we follow a lot of codes and patterns that we don't even realize. Unfortunately, through social conditioning, we've learned certain patterns and we pick those up over the years. So if you want to let go of things, when you notice those patterns and you're ready to change and you're ready for something new and you're ready for things to shift, even in business, if you're someone who's like, I've been hustling, I've been going so hard, I'm so tired, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I used to say things like this, and this is not tapping into your feminine. This is just using the masculine to work hard, to hustle, to grind, to achieve. And I'm not saying you can't tap into the masculine. You actually should be balancing out both energies, both the feminine and the masculine. The masculine where you are achieving things and you are working toward those things, but doing it in a healthy feminine way is beautiful. You don't have to be overly aggressive speaking to people to close a deal. You don't have to hustle so hard and only get 2 hours of sleep every night. Like, you really need to take care of yourself. And I think that's a huge part of tapping into the feminine. And that's how you're able to become more feminine and tap more into that energy. I hope this video was helpful for you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I post videos every single week. So I will definitely be back, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. We got to get into it. All right, so hold on, let me pull it up. Number one, and then let's tap in. Okay. Oh, another thing that you should be doing. Okay, and change how you view things now. Stop. Oh, 312. Look at that. This is crazy. I love when it hits 312 because I'm like in my purpose. Anyway, but explore more of those things. Like, that's how you're able to